I'm super excited to bring to you the AIA Austin Homes Tour for 2025. It's on the weekend of the 25th and the 26th of October. If you're coming to Austin or you live in Austin and you love architecture, this is a tour you shouldn't miss. Now, if you want to listen to this series on the podcast or watch it on YouTube, please do, and understand that I have each of the architects presenting the homes that they have on the tour this year. So there's 10 architects, plus I have Rob Gomez and Ingrid Spencer, who are also commenting on these homes. Now, Rob has photographed every one of them, and Ingrid is the director of the AIA Austin. These two are super knowledgeable and add really beautiful insight to what these homes are about from observers who aren't architects. So please tune in, listen, ask comments, and book a ticket and come on tour and see each of these homes over the weekend, 25th, 26th of October 2025. Look forward to seeing you there. I'd like to introduce you to Eric and Ryan from Paralle Architecture. The home that they're going to share with us for the tour is Timberline House. Now, this is in Rollingwood's neighborhood, and absolutely stunning work. Guys, I'd love to start out by welcoming you to the show and the AIA tour, of course. And could you tell us a little bit about your guys' background, the two of you, and what the firm does?
Sure. Well, thanks for having us to start. I'm Eric. I'm Ryan. And yeah, we started the office in 2007. We actually went to University of Texas Architecture School together and met up there our very first year. We happened to be in the same design class and just kind of hit it off in the first week, and pretty quickly realized we had some things in common, some sensibilities about design, kind of work ethic, what we were looking to accomplish, and then ended up just meshing really well throughout our college years. Collaborated on a lot of projects together. And then after graduation, kind of went our own ways, got our own experiences. For me, I stuck around in Austin for a couple of years, worked for a variety of firms, and then I went out to California, San Francisco specifically, and worked for some pretty great firms out there. And Ryan,
Yeah, similar story. I grew up right outside of Austin, went to UT, met Eric, went to the school, and then ended up actually in Los Angeles. And I kind of spent my 4 years practicing there, which was a real great opportunity personally. And then in 2007, Eric and I moved back to Austin for different reasons, but found an opportunity to collaborate, form Operable. And yeah, we've been working now for 15, 16 years. A while. And I'm excited to share this house with you and chat with you today, Adrian.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's so interesting. You both ended up in California. Like, how did that happen? And did you not consciously make choices, or did you just kind of flew your own ways, but both landed in California?
Yeah, I think our paths kind of I know mine chose me. It was a random opportunity I had actually in school to go to California and work at a small firm. I ended up going back to that firm after graduating because the opportunity was too great to pass up. That was a different time. Austin did not have the plethora of architecture offices at that time. Mm-hmm. And California, especially, being modernists at heart, was really the mecca for us as students.
Yeah.
And to go there and really live in that sort of indoor-outdoor architectural realm was certainly the most impactful experience as a young architect, to really see how architecture can bridge across the landscapes indoor and out. My experience growing up in this climate in a house that wasn't designed by an architect was very much you're inside when it's hot outside, and not thinking too much about indoor-outdoor connectivity. Happy to say that that's transformed a lot, and we have different ways of balancing the the kind of microclimates that we face. And that really is kind of probably the building block of a Paralle, which was how can we bring that back to Austin, something that's very meaningful to us, not only as architects, but just as humans that enjoy the beauty of nature and the connection to the outside. How do you bring that back to a city that isn't 72 degrees and sunny year round? We have a wonderful, beautiful climate and a lot to enjoy here, but it's not like, Santa Monica, California.
Yeah.
And I think that has really resonated with our clients and has really led us to really practice landscape design as much as architecture in our projects. And I think Timberline, specifically as a project that you could look at from an outside perspective as a courtyard house and also an interior perspective, but it's the relationship between the two, which is really the beautiful, poetry of the house itself.
I think that's really interesting. And that whole thing about bringing that, as you said, the modernist movement of California and the indoor-outdoor living, and then also the landscape. So many homes are built as a house, but hold on, you've got a whole block, whether that be a small urban block or a large block, you've got a whole block that informs its environment of land that you can, I suppose, play with, shape, engage, and bring it. I love in Austin, the heritage trees. You can't cut down these trees, and I love the fact that it creates the tension that you have to design with for nature. And so it doesn't mean otherwise you put a bulldozer across it and just build a house. It's like, but hold on, you're not allowed to do that because we've got this tree, and this tree is actually more important than anything else on your site. So how do you have to forces the interaction with nature? I know in New Zealand there's a lot of that, like less so around where I am here, but still we have it, we don't have I don't know that we've got any one protected species other than some things like bunya pines and stuff. But if you had a bunya pine, you're not allowed to cut it down. It stays exactly where it is, and you're not allowed to build too close to it and all those things. But then San Francisco, as a place, slightly different climate than the southern part of Los Angeles, a lot more colder weather comes through. So
yeah,
same tendencies.
Truth be told, a girl took me out to San Francisco, who's now my wife. So it worked out. Really that I really went for the urban experience, right? There was kind of, to me, New York and San Francisco were these two kind of urban meccas where you could really get into that cultural phenomenon. And that was really appealing to me. And I wanted to have that experience. It was not something I had growing up in Texas. But, and I should say, since the outbreak of COVID and people's comfort with online Zoom calls, our work has really expanded nationally. So we are now seeing kind of restrictions. Even you mentioned heritage trees. We work in all sorts of different states and municipalities, and we're seeing codes. And Austin, I think, is really a cut above the vast majority of places we're working in terms of trying to protect the natural environment. And you're absolutely right. What a developer from 20 years ago might have seen as a hindrance is now maybe the centerpiece of a project, which will be a good reference to the project we're about to talk about.
Yeah, 100% on this project.
Yeah, so I mean, it's something we really lean into. In San Francisco, in the city, it was so limited what you could do. There's basically no new construction in that city. Fortunately, I was able to work on projects kind of in the wine country and more estate type projects where architects had more room to kind of spread their wings. And, bringing that all back to Austin, along with the changing kind of view on architecture and modernism in particular that had really evolved since the late 90s when we were here in school, just was a great platform for us to launch this office and this identity of architecture that we were trying to bring back here. And I think the natural element that you touch on was kind of central to that.
Well, you certainly managed to do it. You've done it. Like it's worked, and you've held true to the values. So, it brings all that, and then working across all the different states as well, that would also push your design learning around. And then with that design learning, everything gets richer again in every spot. Everything balances against each other. I love it. think it's awesome. Well, let's dig into the brief of this house and maybe just a quick touch on the brief and then let's share some photos of it. You know, like somebody said, we've got this piece of land. Can you come and design us a house? So what was the brief? What were they looking for, and how was it meant to work with the land for them versus how, maybe not versus how, but including how was it meant to work for the land for you guys?
Yeah, so young family, a growing family, acquired a piece of property in 2021, called us. We actually took them through several of our projects. You know, I think I often will tell clients, you know, our projects photograph well, but I think they toured better. We don't have a backside or sort of front facade approach to architecture. We are really looking for what is the experience of architecture. Maybe I go back to the landscape connection, touring them through a house and kind of having conversations about their experience, I think really set the foundation for communication and a lot of trust in what we were ultimately given opportunities to do. So it's about just a little under a half acre lot. It's a corner lot. The lot is kind of a little uniquely shaped, and I can show you a site plan here in a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let me show you a site plan while we're here, because that's easier.
Let's do that.
So that's the shape of the lot. You can kind of see that the intersection here is a very quiet road. So it is a corner lot, but it's very serene. There's no through traffic. You'll see in this drawing, there was kind of a grove of trees along the front, and then actually a tree kind of in the center of the lot, kind of smack dab in the center.
Yeah.
And so, you know, what they wanted was a forever home to raise their kids with all the things you might expect. Outdoor living with a pool is often a big topic early on, because we have a kind of an open vision for what that might mean versus a typical front yard, backyard scenario where you have a front yard that you never use and a backyard that isn't as nice as your front yard, but that's where you are.
Yeah.
So plot and a conversation with those clients really kind of led us to look to see, without any preconceived notions of where it would be or what it would be, how we could really site a house in a way that would give them a lot of connection to outside without a lot of exposure. Going back to the corner lot, you know, that's a tricky thing, and because a lot of corner lots don't have proper backyards. They have like 2 front yards, and you kind of are setting a house in the back. It was a 3-car, you know, typical American parking requirement, which also is another part. It eats up a lot of square footage on the land. So I don't know. I don't really recall a lot of other specific things that were unique before we set up.
No. I mean, I think just the kind of program criteria, there was a detached kind of office work from home component and guest apartment.
Yeah.
They wanted to be connected under roof, but not literally part of the house. So yeah, very, very early on, you know, I can remember in our very first image deck, there was kind of this inspiration of some kind of South Pacific barrier islands that kind of create this permeable outer ring with a protected, you know, water inside, right? Which is different than the outside waters. It's protected, enclosed, and it very much kind of conveyed the spirit of the general concept of this project, which was to really string out the program around the central courtyard, but allow this kind of allow the outdoor public to filter in when you want to control it or block it out when you don't.
Yeah, fabulous. Do you have different setbacks on, obviously from the road, there's different setbacks. There's one, a primary setback like where north is on here, but there's the one at the bottom of the screen that's deeper than the one on the left of the screen. Are they prescribed setbacks?
Yeah, so this neighborhood is unique. Well, not unique. It has city setbacks. It also has subdivision setbacks that date back to the original, you know, land planning.
Yep.
And this house is very much maximizing the buildable area. It's not overbuilding the lot. You can see how generous those setbacks are.
Yeah.
So I don't think we actually cut down any trees on this lot. We really worked within the grove of trees and then centered around this centerpiece. But we did maximize the buildable area, which this is a 7,500 square foot house. one kind of balancing act here was how do you put that much home on a lot without it feeling too massive? We really want, ideally for us, a house is so harmonious that you might drive by it 10 times before you notice it. Maybe you notice it one day when you're walking your dog, but not when you're driving by, because the house is subtle, it's quiet, it's kind of, in the landscape, and it's not a big braggadocious thing in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I think that over the years was a philosophy that became a kind of brand identity. A lot of people come to us because they want something that's understated but timeless. And I think this house, speaks to that. If I switch to the
take us to especially where we're going to arrive. So when we're touring the house, I imagine we're going to come. I don't know. Where's the AI going to set up? Are they going to set up down here? Yeah.
The house has got multiple sides, right? And I'll just kind of show you on this site plan. Can you see this cursor?
Yeah, down on the bottom. So if you're not watching on YouTube, you're going to really want to come and watch this episode on YouTube. If not, we're in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, and that will be where you probably enter the house, and there's a beautiful stone pathway that's going to take you through the trees, basically, towards the home.
Yeah, so you enter going through a grove of elm trees. So the proper front of this house is along Timberline Drive.
Yep.
On this end, there's another street here that really provides access to the back where the 300 garage comes off. And then it also has a connection to the guest house. So the guest house is able to access directly from their own kind of street parking. The courtyard tree is the centerpiece. We have the kind of bulk of the home, living, kitchen, garage, kids' rooms on one side. Across a covered patio is the home office, which is deliberately detached but still connected via this covered area. And then the guest house. One of the exciting things that a visitor will see on this tour is that this front patio has automated doors that can open. The idea here is that Rollingwood is a very family-focused neighborhood. You will see families walking around and might go mingle, come up, chit-chat. We like the idea of, I mentioned, not a proper front yard, backyard, but a private area that with a touch of a button, you can open up to enjoy the street. And then when you're kind of done with that, you can push a button and shut it back down and then, be using your house to the pool in privacy. I'm going to switch to a photo so you can kind of get a sense.
It also has that sort of, that mid-century sort of style of being like the fortress house, like a fortress. But in this case, there's so much glass. And then there's that open, and letting you in and out of the home in different pieces. But, it's like you said before, it's like a walling the lot off, but then everything's private inside it, or you can open it up and let you through. Yeah, this photo in particular, you're seeing through the covered porch.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the real power of a courtyard house, right? And there's lots of examples of this all over the world throughout history. The Mexican hacienda, this idea that you can have a glass house with a lot of indoor-outdoor connectivity but still remain totally private, right? Which in a suburban neighborhood is very different from building on the side of a mountain with a view or on the ocean.
Yeah.
So how do you still capture some of those architectural sensibilities, but do it in a suburban context where you're surrounded by neighbors? So yeah, this is a view looking through that covered porch, which we're calling the lanai on this house. It is very much this kind of outdoor living space immediately adjacent to the swimming pool. You could press the button, open up these gates, on the weekend when your kid's having a party and the neighbor kids can leave their bikes on the street and come up and mingle through that kind of permeable facade. And then, as Ryan said, when it's time for dinner, you close it down, kids go home, and you can really kind of transform the way this house engages the neighborhood with the touch of a button.
Yeah, that's awesome. Really, really beautiful. Really lovely. And you get that, like you just said, it's the lanai and just the aesthetic of it as well. Just very, very measured and soft, but very deliberate, like it's very structurally deliberate. Goes beautifully with the trees and the whole, I suppose, lot. The way it all pulls together. It looks, sensational.
Yeah, it's fun. we do a lot of visualization with our clients, and there were some key views during design and construction we kept going back to. And one was a few kids sitting on these front steps, like ice cream. And it was always this image we went back to. We were talking about these gates and how they would work and the different devices that we could employ in that area. And now that view, along with other ones, is a photo that the clients will text us. Like, it's happening, they're out there with the friends, and kind of you see these moments where a rendering comes to life, but it's a genuine experience that they're having and not a staging a photo. But it's great to see the house being lived in that way.
Oh,
To add that,
I was going to say that's how you designed it to be lived in, and like, I suppose not sold, but offered the idea to them of it being lived that way, and then it naturally does. Something you said earlier about when these clients came with you and they toured some of the other homes that you'd done, and this photo is beautiful, absolutely stunning. And if it had kids in it with ice creams and bikes lying against the thing, whilst it might ruin an architectural photo, it would make a community photo. Photos evoke emotion, so this evokes an emotion for me. But being inside a home or being in the surrounds of a home like this, you can't replace the emotion that it makes you feel. That's a unique emotion with every home, that it centers you somewhere or pulls you to it. And this has all those elements, and even the way the pathway's like almost like a river flowing off it with the broken pathway. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the other aspect here of this space and the courtyard, something we try to do on all our projects in Austin, and it's probably similar for you in your climate, is the importance of shade, right? So shade and breezes. So you could imagine a walled off courtyard being contained, beating down with the sun, no breezes. So the ability to open this up, allow air through. What's hard to see in these photos is these actually have roll down insect screens on both sides of this lanai. So I press a button and make that an indoor outdoor, fully protected space as well. So it really is doing a lot of heavy lifting in terms of adaptability to the climate, the weather, the bugs, the breezes, the sun, and it's really trying to make that space usable all year long rather than just on a couple of nice months out of the year.
Yeah, that's and beautiful work. It's all really, that thing of being you're in a landscape and you're bringing that landscape through your home, but also all its elements. You're engaging them, and as you said, shade is like super important to us. And look, anywhere, even if it's like horrible, massive rains and even snow or something, still shelter when we've got roof spaces and stuff where that can be open through there, so you get to engage the outdoors, really feel the outdoors, but you're not actually being taken to pieces by it. If it's big rainstorms or any of those things, you can still cross over. You get to immerse yourself still in nature, but from your own sanctuary. It's great.
Yeah. In the courtyard itself, it really, to your point about shade, the pool as a cooling device in a courtyard has open on several sides, but something that really just feels like a place that draws you out there. It draws your eye out there. It takes you out there. There's activity ever present with this kind of reflecting pool. This is very much the heart of the family home right now. Whenever we go over there, it is pool floats and just all sorts of fun stuff happening, which again, seeing, there's a lot of things that we can predict as architects. There's a lot of things that we can try to design and perfect. Seeing them in action, and kind of going back to the human connection, and then seeing, young kids that didn't ask or hire us enjoying architecture is the fulfilling part of this, especially when we can go over there, take photographs, put on a tour, and just kind of get a sense of how to experience these spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, as you said, it's a cooling aspect in the house, but visually and emotionally cooling and all those things that it does, but it's a community space as well. So this whole interior courtyard of the home it's like its heartbeat. It's like the life of it.
Yeah. So that's the outdoor kitchen that you're seeing, pool. So real generous outdoor space. There's a lounge area. We have built it in. Cool toy storage. It's actually subterranean before the lanai. You lift up a bench and you can hide everything in there. This is the kind of living area of that guest suite across the water. It's very close to the water's edge, a little planted area as a buffer and kind of screen a few of the more mechanical natures of a pool. But the experience in that guest house versus across the way, which is looking across a lawn, are different experiences, but each exciting. And when you're on one side of the house, you live in one way and the other, there's something a little different. So I was just kind of teasing out the subtleties of something that could be as simple as calling it a yard. All of a sudden it is like the center piece. So it's the dynamo in the architecture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then jumping inside the house, this is the living room. You can see it's beyond this two-sided fireplace is the outdoor sitting area. There's a TV that's going to be sealed behind this panel above the fireplace, but a very quiet, serene living space that is about enjoying the interior space with a view to these gardens. You can see the stone from the outside. Thematic in our work is a lot of materials that are coming inside and out. This is a very simple stone aesthetic that we employed here, but it's one that plays a lot with the light. So a raking light or a setting sun will have a different impact on the stone. Similarly, the stone inside almost appears soft. On the outside, it feels a little bit more defensive. It's the same stone, but it's fun to see when you're in the house the different ways that interacts with your senses.
It'd be a really good point for people who are on the tour, as they're in the home, is to just take that moment and observe how the stone is indoors and outdoors, and just that subtle differences. We've got a question here about, you said there's a TV concealed behind there. So on tour, don't open it to find the TV. I'm sure it'll be closed down. How does it conceal? What happens?
So the panel actually lifts up and then reveals the TV.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is a steel shroud that is really about when the TV is off, you are not thinking about the television. Mm-hmm. You're really thinking conversation, the activity of the fire. But when you want to watch TV, you push a button and it's there for you.
Yeah, at another point of creating community, though, it might be conversation and just being games, whatever, together. And then, obviously, if you do want to sit and watch TV as well, I love the fact that you make it go away and allow it to come back as well. I think it's a life, a challenge that every designer faces at some point in a home is like, how do we get rid of this TV? And how do we bring it back again when we want it without having projectors and all kinds of things that then dropping in and out of the ceiling and you ruin your other lines. And that's a really beautiful place that it means again that space transitions really easily for the family depending on what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Yeah, that's a good spot to talk about the care that went into building this and the craftsmen who were involved on it. And that's something we really embraced. It's part of why we are called Paralle. It was a bunch of different parties working together in parallel to achieve something that's bigger than any one of us could have done. So whether that's the steel fabricators who could make a guillotine door slide up behind a stone wall, not an easy thing to do. General contractor to pull that together. Just a lot of really talented people and a lot of hard work from our office and theirs to come together and make these things actually happen. A lot of these elements aren't just store-bought components that are being installed. They're custom built. And that's a great example of one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the name and the take on it is, all these people working in parallel to an outcome, because it takes, way more than a pencil and a vision to get to this level of design.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Rob shared this shot as well, and it's absolutely stunning. It's stuck in my brain, and these are big doors, correct?
Yeah, so this is kind of the intersection of a lot of different needs in the house. So there's a lot of layers of activity that are happening. So the kitchen is the obvious centerpiece. Beyond, you'll see the lounge area. So that is a kind of a there's a bar, there's another fireplace, it's some music, it's a space filled for kind of late night entertaining. You mentioned the door, so that's a sliding door that allows you to close that off. So kids are sleeping in, you can kind of shut that down and really kind of corral your guests into this area without, everyone just kind of floating around in your house. It also provides a direct connection to the bar so that you can grab drinks or access the wine cellar from the kitchen. Natural light is something that is every room in our houses or our projects have natural light, whether a window or a skylight or something to let connect you back to the outside. This is a portion of the house that's actually 2 stories, so that by localizing that 2-story portion over this wing and really let that courtyard experience be a single story. But how do you bring natural light into the centerpiece of the kitchen when you have an entire level above you? This is a glass bridge that takes the oldest son across the hallway to his bedroom. Behind this kitchen you see here is the stair. And so there are the moments where you have indirect relationship with your family. If they're not in the room, you see your son walking across the bridge. It's flooding light into the kitchen. But there's a connection there that is maybe not immediate, but there's an understanding of where people are in a house. Mm-hmm. Kids running down the staircase to have breakfast in the morning. There's another little pass-through window, which is a fun thing to see on the tour, where you can see people through the kitchen coming down the stairs. So really thinking about how you can create separation and connection throughout the course of the day or into the evening or through the weekend. These are architectural solutions, but they're really trying to think about what is it to be a growing family in a 7,500 square foot house? People are getting a different race, different needs. How can you create that intimacy without everyone just being on top of each other in one room? And I think this kitchen is very exciting in that way. Obviously, it has all the other kitchen features that, people would love to see. Yeah. But it's fun to see this kind of unconventional heart of the family home right here.
Yeah, absolutely. And that point you make about keeping, and you've got this house that's shaped around a lot in the middle, with the pool and the lawn and things. But then how do you maintain connection? And it's through visuals that you're maintaining those connections, and through movement and energy that does it. The skylight, I can imagine how many people on the tour now are going to be crowded around the kitchen bench trying to get a visual of the passing traffic above. That's so cool. Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the term bench, so that must be an Australian thing. We call it an island.
It is an island, yeah, that would be more correct here as well. It would be our island bench. But yeah, we
call it, I want to start using it.
I imagine it comes from the English thing of a workbench. So it was for prepping on, as opposed to, like in the farmhouse, that would have been a table. So I imagine that's the difference. You had your workbenches like you would in a workshop, and then you had your kitchen table, like in the old sort of and people would have sat and cut up potatoes and onions or whatever it was at the table, as opposed to standing at the bench. And in the history of it, we've kind of elevated it to these beautiful meeting spaces that are still functional spaces. Yeah, so yeah, I generally would call it a bench. I should say I would call that an island bench. But yeah, it's still a workspace, even though it's acting as a table. I imagine kids sit there and do their homework. People sit there and drink wine. And the kitchen becomes a bit of a theatre when people are serving from it, and all those things that happen. This little hub of a space being over from where you said like the bar and even down to the wine cellar piece, but then that whole little hub there is like this energy center that has to operate at least 3 times a day, or 2 to 3 times a day minimum, to just function as a home. And then it becomes an entertainment space. It becomes feed these kids, and because they're getting ratty or whatever it is, it becomes all these different points. It's such a multifunctional space that at one point was just put in a room so that somebody could make food in it and then come back out. Now it really creates this indoor-outdoor that you've got here going on as well. So the dining outside as well. There's so many elements that come together there. an absolutely beautiful marble or granite, is it? I'm not sure. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so we were lucky to work with the clients actually brought interior design group called House of Nomad to this project, and they selected this piece of stone with the client. Our office is often charged with picking all the materials on the inside of our house. We obviously had strong opinions about that on this one, but there were some areas where we really let go. And the client brought this and said, "What is it we found?" And I had just never seen anything like it. I mean, it is the most. I've never seen a stone as captivating and as understandable as this one. There's all these moments in here where it looks like someone just went crazy with like a black marker. There's other areas where you see all this beautiful movement, but Eric and I joked when this house was under construction, this is gonna if this house were on the tour, this is like the house to be on a tour. There are so many little details like this that have a story, and to just have so much interest that we've narrowed it down to I think 6 photos for today.
Yeah.
It is a handful in terms of these little moments, little takeaways.
I think, like if coming on the tour, you want to make sure that you've got either 2 visits to this house, which I don't know many people do, but something that I like to do on a tour is I always like to leave time to go back to something that's really like caught me and experience it at a different time of the day. So a home like this, it would be really, if you've either got extend the amount of time because there's so much in here, but then also look at whether there's possibility of getting to it twice over the weekend. And it's like when you see a movie for the first time and you watch the movie again, and then all of a sudden you go, I didn't notice that last time. Oh, I didn't notice that. You're overcome by the emotion and everything that's happening in the first lot, and then you get a whole nother layer of that the second time.
Yeah.
It's fabulous. I imagine, you go back to the ice cream on the stairs story. That alone, they're living in these moments and just layering them up into their life. And the house is delivering all the opportunities for that to happen in a beautiful environment. I love the way they also hear that the indoor-outdoor effect is like so exaggerated by carrying that ceiling through to the outside from the inside and growing either space into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, we've done the homes tour maybe 5 times. We did it a lot before. This is our first time back since that, and we have always gotten really good weather. They really schedule that thing well. So hopefully we'll have a lot of these doors open and a lot of this kind of connection happening during the tour. I think it'd be a lot of fun to watch you.
Yeah, absolutely. And to get the real flow of the house and the right weather. It's going to be fine. It's going to be beautiful. Yeah, this is a magical photo as well.
So one thing that everyone loves a great front door entry foyer. You welcome guests. The reality is you come home with your family at the end of a long day, you got groceries, you arrive somewhere. We really start with that arrival sequence has to be equal, if not better, than the one that you give your guests. Mm-hmm. In the house, we're actually upstairs, but you would arrive downstairs into this double height space. There's a long skylight. You can see the sun kind of marching along, telling you the time of day. There's a bridge that takes you from the stair back to the kids' rooms. It's very animated. So you can go from the garage into this mudroom area. There's a spot for the dogs to have built-in water bowls. The kids who upstairs, everyone else can go to the kitchen. It becomes this kind of atrium of sorts on the inside of the house that whenever I go into this space, it always is just so dramatic that I am, even just a little dumbfounded at just like every time it's different. And I think having this skylight running down the middle is the essence of that. The other part of this, if I go back to Eric's appropriate, accolade to the builder, the precision in this room is unparalleled. Every board is on module. The glass railings, every single thing is aligned. Our office is working through design and construction to help make that happen. But at the end of the day, you really get a sense of the hundreds of craftspeople that were in here giving it everything that they had. And at the end of the day, it's a very, it's not overly complicated, but it is stunningly well built. And that's another part where a lot of these people work tirelessly on our projects. No one will ever see what they did, and this is an opportunity for them to come to the house and show their friends, look, I built this stair. It's the most beautiful thing I've built, in the last 2 years. Take a look at what I did here. And, that we talk a lot about that sort of relationship with the people who are building. And, that was probably 7 meetings out there talking about the stair. You do it, what's possible, where's the conflict, how can we improve this? And you arrive at something that feels at the end of the day like, well, of course it's that way. It's inevitable. How we know we're done. But it's funny how much, a little bit of feedback and trial and error to get there.
I always think of that saying, less is more. And to make it look so simple is always the journey to get to the so simple is way beyond the imagination. It's actually, it's such a task, and it is that parallel thing where it's like get everybody in a line so there's clarity as to where the line's actually going, because it only takes a little bit to start shifting that, and then this is like keeping the precision just really tight. And to the most point, most people would never notice, and that's the beauty of it. They're not there. You get all the design, aficionados looking at all those elements you just said and trying to get the angles and the lines and understanding it. But for the other people, there's just less clutter. There's just less, it's simpler. It flows easier. It just works. And then the light coming from the skylight gets to give you more of a radiant effect through the home because of the fact that it just works. There's not other things to worry about. The other stuff's gone away. It was taken away, it was edited. Yeah, it's, and Rob showed me this photo as well, because he loved the way this, the whole home's reacting with the circadian rhythms with all the skylights and with the way the light comes into it. And just the way the light channeled from top to bottom in the home. Yeah, it's beautiful. What else have we got? Oh, yeah. So this here's the stone that we were saying is same stone inside and out, but is that correct? That's on the fireplace as well? Yeah.
It is, yeah. And again, here another courtyard, in this instance, a very small private courtyard, which is about being able to have that indoor-outdoor connectivity to nature, to natural light, while maintaining 100% privacy, especially important in a shower. But yeah, really emphasizing that stone material and how that changes throughout the day. So if you were going to come to the house twice, this would be a good room to check out for sure. 2 different times. Yeah. And that theme just kind of continues through the project. Moments of daylight, a surprise. If you were on the outside of the building, you would never know this courtyard was here. This courtyard actually opens up to an exercise room if you went out there and took a left. So 2 rooms get to share in this private experience, and then some kind of strategic plantings out there. And then there's an outdoor shower out there as well, where again, you can really leverage that privacy.
And also, like the outdoor shower piece, as you say, you've really got your privacy, and you can transfer indoors and outdoors, as you said, from the 2 rooms, right? So you could go exercising and come straight round and into your shower box, but you could shower outside as well. I've not yet seen, we do a lot of them here, but that's the first one that I think I've seen in all my tours in Austin of having an outdoor shower. We do them regularly here, but it's, I haven't seen it before in Austin, that's for sure. And again, it really harks back to that thing that you were saying with that Californian kind of piece of it, as well as also that Pacific, having the pool in the middle of the home. This is kind of all that lagoon living kind of feel that it's got, but with all the sensibilities of being in Texas. Yeah.
But, Adrian, we talk a lot about landscape design is on day one in our office. You know, so often, fortunately, the architect is designing a house and later someone else comes along and designs on landscape and we see what happens later. To do a really good outdoor shower, you have to design that on day one because it can't be an afterthought stuck on the side of the house and you look at your neighbors. You really have to like, okay, there's an outdoor shower. This is how you can create a sanctuary where that becomes a destination without exposing yourself or making it feel like a liability otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. No, beautifully done. And the plays of the light on the stone, I can imagine just that constant shifting, depending on bright day, dull day, rainy day, everything there starts to play and engages you back with nature. That the biophilic design and biomimicry of, almost like that's like a stone wall that could be in a quarry or on the side of a hill or something. And then, it can have water flowing down it. It can do all those things. And it's fun, really fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm afraid we're going to give away all the secrets of, check it out. We have a few more slides, but this is also a good stopping point in terms of slides. How are we doing, Adrian? Do you want to keep these?
No, I reckon we should call it at those pieces of slides, because otherwise people are going to end up having to listen to this over 2 days or so in the car if they're driving. And we want to capture their minds and their hearts here. There are so many beautiful elements. And I think, as you said, you could probably show every room of the house and be able to find an element within that room that is worthy of taking the pause and standing back from and going, okay, here it is, and imagine it now and a bit further on. The home just in the photographs leaves me with a real emotional feel. So I can imagine the elevation of that emotional feel. Forget the technical piece, like there's so many designers who come and we're looking for the technical pieces, but the emotional feel of that, it feels like a real sanctuary and so engaged with nature. It's sensational. Visit it twice, at least. If it's close to your own home, go 3 or 4 times. Wear a different shirt. Yeah. I don't think that you haven't left.
It's particularly captivating in the kind of late afternoon.
Yeah,
because you really get a lot of sunlight in there. So that's my secret tip.
Yeah, so then, if you can fit it in on late Sunday afternoon before everything closes down, that would be a lovely time, because a lot of people won't have pushed themselves that deep through the tour. If you can make it last stop, it's close to town as well, which is really brilliant. Guys, that's been absolutely fabulous and super, super excited to see and be in this home. And I can imagine, I don't want to really be there with 4,000 other people. So picking your moments is going to be the time, as over that weekend, so many people will come through. And how generous, of you guys, but of your clients, like so generous.
Yeah.
Hats off to them.
And it's the ultimate compliment. They are doing this out of the kindness of their hearts and have expressed this is a thank you to everyone who worked on this house.
Yeah.
To hear that from a valued client that we've worked with for so long is the most meaningful. I love getting the pictures and hearing the stories. This is the proof that they're happy and excited and all everyone's efforts were worthwhile because they are happy and enjoying their home. Yeah. And that to us is the success.
Well, that was the success of from the start to the end of the journey, isn't it? It's like that's putting the bow around it. Thank you so much, guys. Absolutely brilliant, and so excited to see this home. We'll see you on tour.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers.
Thanks.
So I hope you've really enjoyed that. And if you'd like to stick around for about another 5 or 10 minutes, you can hear what Rob Gomez, the photographer, who took the photos of all these homes, has to say about this particular home. And he's joined by Ingrid Spencer, the director of the AIA Austin, and their comments are really fascinating, how they viewed these homes, much like the public would. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed. Take care. This home, Timberline, by Paralle Architecture, absolutely stunning, really modern piece of architecture. Ingrid, tell me, was it on the tour?
Absolutely. This is a gorgeous house and it does some remarkable things. As you
Mm,
can see in this photo, the front completely opens up.
mhm.
It's remarkable. So this house is all about courtyards and moving through interior, exterior. Um, and it's a house for a family, children running around. It's just lovely. It's a lovely house.
It's
So Aper, they first completed the first phase in 2017. So this is a house that they've been working on in phases over time.
yeah,
And the latest phase is just completed last year. And that was all about the connecting courtyards and putting in a stair and a pool and really making the outdoors an important part of the project that everyone will get to see on the tour.
and with it, you say it's remarkable, and I get that. One of the things, like you said, it fully opens up. We don't see a lot of this necessarily in Texas. We don't see tons of just fully open spaces. It's more, I would say, Californian inspired in that sense. So do you know why they made it so it was like, what was the driving force of why?
I think it was just to expand the house into the outdoors and have their family enjoy this whole big compound. I mean, it's a big house,
Mm,
7,000 square foot.
wow.
So that's rare for the tour. We like to have a range. This is probably the biggest house or one of
Yeah.
the bigger houses on the tour. But I think it also has something in common with many of the other houses on the tour in that there is this like compound situation with multiple spaces and places to come in and out of. And, we have that with other houses with ADUs behind them or in front of them. So I think it will just add to that theme of the tour of these like multiple pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, as you said, this is a somewhat of a trend as well that's happening in architecture. And this was designed obviously before 2017, if it was started then, as an
Mhm.
overall thing. But we're seeing an acceleration of that probably since COVID. Uh, and this thing of breaking them up and opening them up. And this courtyard to the outside like this. Rob, you photographed it. You've the one, well, Ingrid's experienced it as well, but you've been in there and you've had to look at it with all the different light and stuff. Can you take us through your journey?
Yes, absolutely. So this first shot I picked just because it really, I think, shows that opening of the inside of the house a little bit kind of to the outside. I guess inviting in the neighborhood or like not closing off to the neighborhood. Um, and this particular shot we did just because it's, as you see, it's like very much nestled in between a ton of trees all in the front. So if you kind of step back and try to see the whole thing, it can look a little bit too crazy blocked by all the trees. So this was a perfect little glimpse into more of this design of the doors opening up the courtyard into the inside and the pool. You can kind of see the
Yeah,
lounge chair there
yeah,
for the pools. Get like a little sneak peek into it. Um, but I just love this particular aspect of the house and how, again, like Ingrid was saying, how it's all sort of like connected. It's almost like a not circle, but because it's obviously a square, but
yeah,
how it all almost all the rooms in the house, whether it's the kitchen, dining, primary bedrooms, and they all look out to the outside to this little courtyard. Even like second, like the guest bedroom ADU, I guess technically over there to the left, all
We'll take.
looks over.
I think it looks fabulous, and from this photo, it looks like we've got an oasis in the middle of,
Yeah.
like we've kind of got a not a walled off, just a journey, a transition through to an oasis. What other photos have you got for us?
So the second one,
Yeah.
Go ahead,
was
Rob. Just going to
yeah,
add
so
something real quick.
yeah,
I'm just going to add something real quick. That last photo that you showed, I mean, imagine, Adrienne, the experience of someone going to the stealth house that's like, nope, can't come in. It's like
Yeah.
completely walled off from the neighborhood. And then this is the opposite. So all kinds of experience.
It is if you were to look at those two, both of them are about courtyards. Both of them
yeah,
are about these living environment sort of situations, where you are in some sort of oasis within inside the home. And yet this one is the full opposite of stealth house, where it's fully open and
Yeah.
you're transitioning through. It reminds me a little bit of when you go to Hawaii and you see these houses as there, where the house is kind of a roof and a floor, and then maybe some other building pieces, but there's a roof and a floor that separate you from the other. And we do a lot of that in Queensland, and in Australia as well, climatically, where it works. Yeah, I love the feel. It draws you all the way deep into this house. Yeah. Go back to that picture of the kitchen, because I got that glimpse of the marble on that top. And for those of you who aren't on YouTube watching this, make sure you get on there. There's something absolutely stunningly beautiful. There's lots of things absolutely stunningly beautiful about this. And again, I see massive opening sliding doors. Rob, take us through it.
Yeah. So this was another attempt to kind of show that inside out, very interconnected designed living spaces here, where you have the kitchen, but you have the full sliding glass doors that open up. You have the outdoor dining area there, and then the pool a little bit more to the left. But you can kind of imagine, if you had a fun little family gathering or party, like how everything is just very much about, I guess, togetherness and very fun, I guess, in that sense. And then in there, you have the kind of den area to the right, past the doors. They have this super fun bar with like a neon sign. And yeah, this particular shot, again, we kind of really like this effect of almost like a dual screen separated there by the like a split screen effect a little bit almost of the outdoor and the interior.
The finishes look beautiful. And another, trick that stands out to me, when I say trick, not trick, but feature, is the way that timber ceiling runs through, and then it runs to, I don't know, maybe a third or a quarter of the outdoor space as well, so that it carries you beyond the threshold of the doors, and just how that draws you out into the landscape again. And what else?
Details.
Yeah.
The last one here this is sort of right above that. It's basically the upstairs, which I believe just held the kids' rooms, and maybe there was an office, but like the primary bedrooms and everything else was downstairs. And so this was really the only shot that we did. Again, with this particular home, I had a very limited time to shoot it compared to the other ones. So I feel kind of we got within that regard, we got lucky with the light and kind of the time and everything to still be able to get some good shots.
Yeah.
But this with Eric, the architect, this was kind of the only shot really that he wanted upstairs to kind of show all this sort of interesting geometry that's going on with like all the layers of the skylight, and then you have the light cutting through, and then the stairs going down, and then the wood all along there. And yeah, I don't know, just this, I mean, this was just one of the ones I really liked from this house, again, because of the lighting more than anything.
Yeah. I can see that. It's got beautiful. If you imagine this home, so whatever time of day you shot it, but if you imagine this home through, let's go a 24-hour cycle, and we've got a full moon, you can imagine how this space lights up differently through all those different pieces. And if it's full of rain, like if you've got a really rainy day with sunshine coming out, you would get all the light plays of the water droplets that would be on the skylight as well. And it would be sending rainbows, it'd be rainbows all through this piece of the interior as it refracted. So yeah, I think it's really, really cool. And it's a transition area in a house made magic. That's the genius, I suppose. That's awesome. And Ingrid, have you got any more you want to add to it?
Just you got me thinking about light and how, a house like this with skylights and so much natural light, how different it would be at all times of day. It's just like a different experience throughout the day. What a wonderful place to spend your life.
You can also imagine the health benefits of a home where you've got this much light and the way it comes in for your circadian rhythms. It would certainly have massive health benefits for living within the biorhythms and the circadian rhythms of your own self and nature, in your environment. Thank you for tuning into our conversation. I hope it left you both informed and inspired. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen. And please don't hesitate to share your design thoughts with me. It's always a joy to hear from you. If you're like me and crave a deeper dive into design thinking, coupled with a love for travel and adventure, consider one of my architectural adventures. Join me and some of my wonderful design friends and embark on a journey of a lifetime. Apply for an unforgettable design experience at adrianramsey.com. With our clients spanning the globe, I firmly believe behind every great project are great people. If you're a great person and seeking to turn your dream into a reality, I'd be honored to design your home with you. Why not join the ranks of our exceptional clients and let's make your heart sing? Reach out to me at studio@ardesignhouse.com. That's studio@ardesignhouse.com, and let's get a conversation going and make your heart sing.